Sometimes, in order to succeed, you need to fail. I got a comment recently that asked about talking about failure and how to overcome it. And for me, overcoming failure is pretty simple in one sense. Before I talk about failure, today's objective is to find a jungle. Hopefully we do find one with our trusty Bojack here, but we're going to go on a long expedition, so we'll need food. But as I was saying, failure is one of those things that is sort of inevitable. Okay, in order to succeed at anything in life, you have to fail at it first. You're not going to be the best Minecraft speedrunner unless you lose against Dream 10 times. You're not going to be the best race car driver unless you lose against Max Verstappen and his insane abilities. You're not going to be the best accountant in New York unless you've been an accountant for many, many years and made mistakes and failed at it first. Okay, this applies to everything. Hell, it applies to me. I failed at being a YouTuber for many, many years before I eventually got to the point where I am now. Not saying that I'm, the most successful content creator or anything, but I have seen some success on YouTube. But only after I failed at it for about, a decade, right? Let's say, for example, you failed. Let's take one of the simplest examples that everyone understands. You failed an exam, a test, anything of that sort. You had a math test, right? And maybe you're not so good at math. Maybe math is the bane of your existence right now. So you studied for this test. You kind of did okay studying, but you failed. You got an F. And now there are consequences with that. Your parents are not happy with you. Your teacher is not happy with you. And your grades are now a problem. So how do you fix this? Well, you take the test back. You see where you failed. And you study those questions. Right? You study the math problem that is 1 plus 1, and maybe you found that 1 plus 1 equals 3. Well, in reality, it's equals 2. Well, the only way to next time succeed is to take that 1 plus 1 and study it. Study why you couldn't figure out the reason that 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. And when you study it enough, hopefully not too long considering the problem, you'll then understand it. And when you understand it, the next time you'll get it right. And this is true for everything. When you're at work and your boss tells you, I need this stack of paperwork done by Friday. And you weren't able to get it done by Friday because you say slacked and you didn't feel like doing it and you thought you could do it last minute. Well, guess what? You can't do it last minute and you failed and now your boss is mad at you. And just like I failed to keep my horse from not taking damage just there. The way you learn from that failure is next time hey, I shouldn't procrastinate this. I should do it immediately or I should do it in a better, timely fashion. All that is simple failures that you experience in life and you have to learn from them and to overcome them. Now, it's easier said than done in many cases. I understand that fact. And I understand that some people might be failing at something more than one time. You might be a person who's taken your driver's license test 4 different times. And you just can't seem to figure it out. You just can't seem to understand why, and you just can't figure out how to drive. Can't figure out how to take that test. The truth about that is, even if you failed it 4 times, you haven't failed it until you've stopped trying. Does that make sense? Total failure requires that you stop trying to do what you failed at in the first place. And without total failure, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about the fact that you're failing because you can always try again in many cases of life. I don't remember what, there was this one movie I watched recently about this woman who was a swimmer, a professional swimmer. I think had won maybe Olympic medals and stuff. And she wanted to do this crazy feat of something that had never been done before, by the way. She wanted to go, I think, swim from the bottom peak of Florida all the way to Cuba in one go without needing to dock on a ship or anything like that. Now, this woman was retired in 60 years old. She was 60 years old and she wanted to accomplish this. Something that she couldn't accomplish when she was in her prime, in her 20s or whatnot. And guess what? She tried, I think, another 4 times at the age of 60 to 63 or something. I don't remember exactly. But the point is, this is a true story about a woman who actually swam from the peak of Florida to Cuba at 60 years old without dying in the process. She failed a few times. She definitely did fail, and those were hard failures. But she eventually did it. think of that. Think of whatever you're failing at, and think that a human that was in their 60s was able to accomplish that. If she can do that, then you can succeed at whatever you're failing at. I'm not saying anything that's new. I'm not saying anything profound. But I am saying something that people need to hear. You need to fucking hear this, okay? You need to understand that life is full of failure and every step of the way. And that's what makes success so sweet and beautiful. Because you've had to fail, you've had to endure, you've had to do something 10 million times. That's what the whole point of you make things look easy comes from. Let's say you see somebody doing some crazy dance move, right? That you were like, oh shit, this looks so easy when this person does it, but it's so hard when I try to do it. That's because that person failed miserably for many, many years trying to do this stuff. And then one day, they were able to do this. One day, after all the training, all the suffering, all the pain and failure, they were able to succeed in doing that move that looks so effortless to you. Another example of mine, right now, I've traveled, I don't even want to know how far away from my house, and I have 3 Endermen staring at me, and I'm looking for a jungle that I might not find. But guess what? Me failing to find this jungle right now is not even really failing, because I haven't stopped trying. In fact, I'm going to make it my mission to find this jungle. Maybe not in this video, but in one of the following videos. Just to show you proof that I'm not going to fail this task. Now, while I'm searching, let's talk about actually overcoming failure. Failure brings, of course, sometimes emotions of inadequacy, sometimes emotions of just, this sucks, I don't want to do this anymore. So how do you stop yourself from just giving up? And the truth behind not giving up at something is, how badly do you want it? How badly do you want to achieve your goals? How badly do you want to get that driver's license? How badly do you want to beat Max Verstappen at a race? How badly do you want to get the Minecraft speedrunning record? Okay? And you'll find, if you ask yourself that question, you might get an answer you might not like. You might get the answer of, shit, I guess I am a failure because I don't really care enough to do this. And you need to understand something about that as well. If you reach your breaking point with something like that, if you finally figure out and say, damn, bro, I really don't want to do this anymore, that's okay as well. Guys, we're not meant to succeed at everything in life, okay? Because if we succeeded at everything in life, then there would be nothing left for other people to do. See, one person might be, their calling might be to be the best race car driver, even better than you. And you might find through that you don't want to try anymore to beat that record. You want to try and be a baker. You might like making bread and realize through the failure of being a race car driver that you might like something else more. You might realize that you don't want that anymore, and that's okay because figuring that out requires you to fail. Okay? Figuring out what your true passion in life is requires you to fail at something or other. This is a cool little chunk that's loaded. Another story of mine about figuring out what my true calling is, right? When I was in high school, I thought I wanted to be a computer scientist. A computer scientist, like somebody that codes and makes programs and all that fun stuff. Well, guess what I found out? It ain't all that fun. In fact, it was pretty miserable. I took an AP computer science course. AP just basically means the equivalent of a college computer science course. And I took that course and I realized, oh my God, everyone is better than me and I hate coding and this sucks. But I finished the course. I figured out, okay, this is hard, but I want this. And so I kept going. I kept going in the computer science track. I applied to colleges based on the fact that I was going to pursue a computer science major. And then one day I went to a college tour and my life was forever changed. Damn it, so close. I thought this was going to be a forest. So I'm at this college tour and my mother tells me that they have this showcase at the communications department, which communications is anything that has to do with television, film, journalism, stuff like that. So I'm like, what the hell, why not? Keep in mind, by this point, I had already been making YouTube videos and editing and doing all this stuff. And I go to this tour of the communications department. They show you one of those feel-good videos about being a communications student and doing this major and this being your occupation. And when I tell you guys, my heart dropped because I realized, holy shit, I don't want to do computer science. I want to do this stuff. Which was, of course, entirely dependent on the fact that I had been doing YouTube for so long. And I liked it. And I liked content creation. And I like creating in that sense. So content creation isn't really that different from television production in that sense, or journalism and all those things. They're all media in a sense. And that's all that I needed to figure out that I didn't want to do computer science. But I wouldn't have known the fact. I wouldn't have known that I didn't want to do computer science if I hadn't tried it out yet and if I hadn't failed at it. Seeing that communications tour might have not had the same effect on me if I hadn't failed at computer science. So that's a way to cope with failure. Cope with failure by understanding that by failing, you might find out that you love something else way more. Okay, I found yet another swamp biome. This is not good. Are jungle biomes like rare in this version or something? Watch, there's gonna be one like right next to my house and I'm gonna be so pissed at it. I've seen every biome at least 3 times besides the jungle biome. This is not a good thing. And I also don't exactly remember where my house is because I've kind of moved directions. I'm not exactly going in a straight line. So, yeah. I literally reached the end of like my current biome. Oh, God. Okay, well. See, this right here, this is failure. This is something that you can't return from. So I guess that's another thing we should talk about, right? Failure at a point of no return. That's just a failure that you have to embrace. Okay, that's a failure that you just have to say, to take the punch and keep moving on. Life goes on. So like right now, I might be at the point where I have to turn around and find the jungle biome in a different direction. Because I'm starting to get to a point where I don't even remember the coordinates of my own house. And it might actually be worth for me to go into the nether and come back. Actually, that's probably what I'm going to do. Okay, so what we're going to do now, there's a change of plans. Instead of finding this jungle biome, or even, and maybe if we find it, I'm going to look for a lava pool. I'm going to try and make another portal. And then I'm going to use that nether portal to get back to my house because the nether is much smaller than the overworld. And that way I'll have the option of going in different directions. I found another dark oak forest. Jesus Christ, dude. At this point, it's like there's no reason for me to not build another portal. Oh, what the fuck? Wait. Did I? How did this? This is my bridge. I know exactly where I am. How the hell did we get here? Did I go in a circle? Is that even possible? Alright guys, it looks like through my failure of trying to get back home, I succeeded in finding a landmark I made. Wow, I know exactly where I am right now. That's insane. My house is right there. How did I even do? I literally went in a circle. I accidentally went backwards. That's actually so funny. Yep. See, this is how I cope with this failure. I guess whatever the lesson is there, learn from it. Next video, I'm going to try and find this jungle biome and see what we can do there. But as far as failure is concerned, just remember, success requires failure. Without failure, there is no success, and you haven't totally failed if you haven't stopped trying. Good night, and good luck.